All right, so we're now going to look at the sales variances. All right, we're going to look at first the selling price variance. It shows whether the company sold at a higher or lower price than expected. Okay, that's one of the first sales variances, the selling price variance. We just want to see was did we sell at a higher selling price than what we expected, what we budgeted, or did we sell at a lower selling price? Okay. So if you remember this information here, this is for this company. Our standard selling price is 50 kwacha per unit. Our actual selling price is 48 kwacha per unit. We sold at a lower price. Okay, so we expect this variance to be bad because we sold at a lower price. Okay, yes. So this is the formula for the selling price variance. The actual sales quantity multiplied by the actual selling price minus the standard selling price. Now remember, for this variance, if your actual selling price is greater than your standard selling price, you did good. Okay. This is the thing I need you to also take note of, colleagues. For price and sales variances, you always want the actual to be greater. But for cost variances, you always want the actual to be less. That's one thing I need you to remember. Okay, so like for selling price variance here, you always want your actual to be better because if you sold at a higher selling price means you make more revenue. Okay, so for sales, sales variances, these ones always want your actual to be greater than your budgeted or your standard. Then for the cost variances, you always want your actual to be less because if your actual is less, it means you spent less. All right. So in this case here, okay, our actual selling price 48 kwacha, standard selling price 50 kwacha. We did bad. Okay, 48 actual sales quantity. We sold 5,500 units. Okay, remember in the question here, colleagues, it says we sold 5,500 units. That's that I don't be scrolling up and down too much, but here it is. Actual sales 5,500 units. Okay. Okay. Let's see, was I kicked out? Uh-huh. So we actually sold the quantity of 5,500 units. So 5,000 minus, multiplied by -2, you get negative 11,000 kwacha, which is adverse, meaning we did bad. Okay, the company sold each unit for 2 kwacha less than the standard price. So if you sold for less than the standard price, it means you make less money. Okay. Yes, that's the sales price variance, selling price variance. Okay. Then you have also got the sales volume variance. Okay, which measures how the change in sales quantity affects the profit. Okay. Yes. So for this variance, actual sales minus budgeted sales times standard profit. Okay. So here with this variance, if your actual sales are greater than your budgeted, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. It means you sold more than what you budgeted for. But if your budgeted sales are greater than your actual sales, it's not a good thing. Okay, it is not a good thing because you budgeted to sell, let's say, for example, 10,000 units, then you've actually sold 6,000 units. That is not good for a company. Okay, yes. So, actual sales minus budgeted sales multiplied by standard profit per unit. Okay. So, if your actual sales are greater than the budgeted sales in terms of profit per unit, you have to make more profit per unit because you sold more. Okay. Yeah. So now remember our standard profit per unit. If you remember, colleagues, when we're calculating the standard cost card, to refresh your memory here, okay, then we wanted to find out what is our standard profit or loss per unit. We say standard selling price minus standard cost. We got a standard loss of 10 kwacha per unit, which is bad for the company. Okay, so this we're multiplying it by the difference between the actual and the budgeted sales. Okay, so where is that? So we sold 5,500 units. Okay, what we budgeted to sell was 5,000 units. So 5,500 minus 5,500 kwacha. So basically, in simple terms, we sold 500 more units than we budgeted. Okay. Now, since we're making a loss for each unit, so these extra 500 units made a bigger loss. 500 times negative 10, you get negative 5,000 kwacha. Okay, this sales volume, this sales volume variance. If it's negative, it's bad. If it's positive, it's good. So here, remember, we're making a loss for each unit that we produced. So if you sell more units, what's going to happen to you're going to make more of a loss. If this was a profit here, it would have been a good thing. Would have said this variance is favorable. Now, since we're making a loss per unit, so even though we sold more than we budgeted, we're still making a loss. Okay. Yes. So here, since each unit has a standard loss of 10 kwacha, selling more units increases the loss. Therefore, the variance is adverse. Okay. So if you're a company and you're making a loss for each unit, it wouldn't be to your best interest to sell more. Your best interest is you need to increase that selling price. For XYZ, when we're giving them recommendations, we are going to think, we're going to tell them they need to increase the selling price. And then we have the total sales variance, okay, which is just made up, it's a combination of both, okay, the selling price variance and the sales volume variance, okay. Yes. So our selling price variance was negative 11,000. Our sales volume variance was negative 5,000. Okay. Where you see an A adverse, it just means that's a negative value here. So we'll put like this. Okay. So negative 11,000 plus negative 5,000, positive and negative make negative. So negative 11,000 minus 5,000, we get negative 16,000 adverse. Okay. This total sales variance, a negative value is bad. Okay. You want something positive. Okay. Whenever you're always comparing actual minus budgeted, negative is always bad. Okay. Yes. So So interpretation. The total sales variance is adverse because the actual selling price was lower than the standard, which we saw there. More units were sold, but each unit was making a standard loss. So you wouldn't expect the sales variance to be good. It's going to be bad. Okay, so that is our total sales variance.